Welcome to the EntreEd Talk podcast, the show by educators, for educators, parents, and the community. We're so excited to bring this to you. I'm Toi.
And I'm Laura, and we're excited to uplift best practices in entrepreneurship education.
And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to the EntreEd Talk podcast on whatever platform you listen. Welcome back, everybody, to another fun-filled episode of the EntreEd Talk podcast. We are so delighted and excited to have our good friend, Melanie Arthur, with us today. Melanie is the principal of Blennerhassett Middle School in Wood County, West Virginia. She holds an education specialist degree in leadership and administration and also holds a master's degree in reading and literacy. And her bachelor's is in elementary education with a specialization in early childhood education. Melanie began her teaching career in Union County, North Carolina, where she taught second grade. She then taught in Chesterfield County, Virginia for 7 years in grades 3 and 4. Melanie and her family moved to Lake Forest, Illinois, where she was an instructional coach and a coordinator of curriculum and instruction. And in 2015, she moved back to West Virginia, where she became the principal at Calhoun Middle High School for 2 years before moving to Wood County to be the principal at Blennerhassett Middle School. During Melanie's time as principal at Calhoun Middle High and Blennerhassett Middle, both schools have been named America's Entrepreneurial Schools through the EntreEd program. And Melanie presented at our national conference several years ago in Mobile, Alabama, with our executive director, Dr. Jean Colson. Melanie is also, we'll talk about this, one of our pilot schools for the program and really was instrumental in helping us launch it. So we really thank her for that. So in her spare time, Melanie enjoys attending her children's sporting events and spending time with family and going camping. So Melanie, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk about all of our experiences that I've had with EntreEd and how beneficial it is to provide these opportunities.
Well, we're so excited, and honestly, a big part of us getting this off the ground and becoming a national initiative was due in large part to Melanie's help. So before we dive in and get into all that juicy goodness, can you give us a little background on your career? And I went over the 30,000 mile high view of it, but
right.
where you got to where you are today and kind of your trajectory.
Like you said, I started out in the classroom, primarily elementary education, before we moved to Illinois. My husband was a college offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. So his job moved us around quite a bit and gave me lots of opportunities to work in different states and pick up the best practices in each state and carry them with me. So when I went to Illinois, I started working as an instructional coach, which led me into my administrative career at the district office level as a curriculum coordinator. And then after we had children, we decided it was time to come back home to West Virginia and settle down where our family is. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get a job at Calhoun Middle High School, which is actually the high school I graduated from. So that was very nice as my first principal's position being in my hometown.
So we know from talking to you, and like Toi said, you are a good friend of ours and you've gone back to the beginning. But before we dive into that, you've done a lot of amazing things. Your district's been very innovative, your school district. Can you tell us maybe about some of your favorite projects?
Sure. At Calhoun Middle High School, what we did at the middle high school level was to our first year of kind of getting entrepreneurship off the ground. We wanted to start really small and just make sure it was successful. So we participated in the Lemonade Day there, and each class created their own lemonade stand, and we had lots and lots of different flavors of lemonade, and some kids made muffins and cookies to go with it. And then we had judges come in, the classes created their business plans. And then after coming to Blennerhassett, we decided to go a little bit bigger, and we actually did a Blennerhassett Middle School Shark Tank episode. And each advisory class created different products, and they had to have a visual presentation. They had to have their business plan. They had to actually construct the product, and then they had to present it in front of the school and a panel of judges. And I think so the Shark Tank has probably been my favorite activity that we've incorporated, just because you could really see that it doesn't matter the age or the grade of the student. Any student has the ability to be an entrepreneur. They all have really great ideas, and they just needed a little bit of help of how to, to outline their business plan and share their product.
Laura, have you ever heard the story that Jean's our executive director, for y'all that don't know that, the story that Jean talks about judging the lemonade contest?
But I love stories about Jean.
Oh my God. He tells, you haven't heard it, but he tells the story like everywhere about how he almost went into diabetic coma from all of the kids testing all of the lemonade and all of the.
Oh yeah.
Jean's, credit. He loves kids, of course, and he loves to give everybody a shot at something. And so that's funny. I'm not surprised.
That whole pilot time was really, really hilarious, but really informed what we were doing and proved that this is such a cool thing. And I want to piggyback on your point and ask you, Melanie, that you said that, this is something that all kids can do. And we even find that the earlier you go, the more interesting, because the kids have these big ideas and they're not boxed in yet.
Right.
So could you speak a little bit to that? Because most people think immediately when you say entrepreneurship, that's something, if it belongs in the high school level, like in career tech, which is great when schools have that. But can you talk a little bit about what this looks like in elementary, middle, and high?
Sure.
Kind of the differences.
At the elementary level, Charles Thomas, who's the principal at Arnoldsburg Elementary School, he also presented with Jean and I at the national conference. So what they did is they actually had a craft fair, and each class created different crafts. So they would do like animal face paint rocks. They would do friendship bracelets. One class had a face paint stand, and different community members and different classes could come and buy the products. And then all the money they raised was donated to St. Jude. And the kids absolutely loved it. And I think Jean went there and actually participated in the craft fair. I think he spent every bit of money that he probably brought with him buying all the crafts from the kids. So that was, very, very easy to do at the elementary level. And it not only allowed the kids to talk about creating their own business, but it also showed the importance of giving back to organizations and the community. And then at the middle school level, the nice thing about entrepreneurship is it's not just one content area. It can be incorporated into any content. And the more that we're learning about entrepreneurship and the more that it's becoming known in the schools, there's more literature being published, books being published. So it's no longer just like a math science thing. We've incorporated it into social studies. And so we would start by looking at famous inventors and how they started their ideas, and then incorporate it that way. With the Shark Tank ideas, we did it by advisory period. So every student, 6th grade through 8th grade, even including our special education students, were involved in it. And they would come up with their ideas as an advisory group, is how we incorporated it the first year. And next year, I'm excited to announce that we are taking entrepreneurship even further, and we will be offering EntreEd elective courses. We'll have a 6th grade course and then a combined 7th, 8th grade course. And we're in the process of creating an entrepreneurship lab. And so far we have 3D printers and Cricut machines and a shirt press and these amazing sewing machines that already have the stitches programmed in there. And all you have to do is click on the computer and it will stitch whatever stitch you pick. If they would have had this when I was in high school, I could probably sew a button on pants.
Right.
But I mean, it's amazing.
Taught my kids that before college. Very important.
I mean, this is absolutely amazing. And you can do beautiful stitches. So we're pretty excited about that. We've written a couple grants to get some other equipment in there. The kids are so excited about it. Before coronavirus started, we started talking about the different businesses they would like to run. Right now, they plan on having their own t-shirt business. And then one company also plans on doing like personalization for the embroidery. And we have a graphic design company that will be started, and these students will actually be taking care of our school website page, as well as creating any of our posters for our different programs in the school. So we're very, very excited about that.
That is so neat. And
I'm going to nominate her for head cheerleader, because you couldn't have said it better, Melanie. Oh my gosh, like you hit every element of what every idea and creativity we try to bring out in teachers. Yeah. I want to go a little bit off the grid and ask you, because again, you've been one of our original partners, and you talked about so much of what we were already going to ask you about. So you've already touched on a lot of these amazing projects. Tell me, are your teachers on board, and how do you motivate your teachers?
So teacher buy-in is very, very important. I think at first, it's all about the way you present it to staff. And entrepreneurship is not just one more thing they have to do, because we know that teachers have so much on their plate right now that, just adding one more thing can be overwhelming. So presenting it in a way that, this can already be built into your curriculum. This is already in your standards. Another nice thing about West Virginia is in our college and career readiness standards and our counseling standards, they have included entrepreneurship. So we're able to just kind of put this in with our advisory lessons every week. So it's not just added on the teachers. Our counselor has been wonderful about covering that as well. But I think just letting the teachers know, okay, you're already doing a lot of this. You're already talking about this in class. You're already talking about business plans. You're already reading about and studying famous inventors. It's not one more thing. And then with all the different technology that students are exposed to, that's another amazing thing about Wood County, and that our feeder schools, the elementary students are starting very young with being innovative learners and doing STEM projects and different things. So when they come to us, they already have that foundation. So our teachers already used to dealing with those types of students with those learning abilities. And for the teacher that's going to be teaching the EntreEd elective courses,
I want to be that teacher.
She's amazing, but this was a person that she is already very creative, and she's already an outside of the box thinker. And so I think it's really important as administrators to find those teachers that already have that personality and have conversations with them. I think communication, sharing your vision is very important. And that's one thing that I try to make sure I do with my staff all the time, is they know exactly what my vision is, and they know that together we're a team, and that I'm not just going to say, okay, this is my vision and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to collaborate. We're going to work together, and this is the vision of where I want to go. Now let's talk about the little details of how we're going to get there, so that they feel very much a part of it. And it's not just, oh, well, Mrs. Arthur wants to do this, so I'm going to have to do this. But we're a team and work very well together.
Awesome. We hear that a lot from really great principals, that you have to run it that way, and not just entrepreneurship, but just the school in general. I mean, that's just, and we've all, I think, at least I sure have been in schools as a teacher and had a, iron fist principal that it just makes everybody run around feeling anxious and not feeling like they're part of something. Right. And it's really cool, because you did that twice, right? You came in and kind of did a culture shift in two different schools, which is really, really a testament to your leadership. I'm asking right now all of our cool administrators and even superintendents about this with this pandemic and the coronavirus and everything going on. How are you motivating and supporting teachers now? And I only ask that because I know that there are educators that listen to the podcast, and everyone's kind of fumbling right now trying to figure out how do we manage this and help our kids and help our faculty, all of those things. If you could just share about that I think would be really neat.
Well, I think for us right now, communication is so important because things are changing daily. Sometimes they change hourly. So I have weekly virtual staff meetings with my staff. We use Microsoft Teams is what we're using. So we meet every week to talk. We've also created a message group where they can have instant contact with me if they have questions. So we're using that. We also use live grades. So any message that I send out to parents or students, I make sure that I copy my staff on the message as well. So they are very clear on what's being communicated to parents and what's being communicated to students.
And that's awesome. I know it's such a weird time. And I know that all the educators are really suffering with not being able to be with their kids right now. And it's just really, it's hard. And my kids do, Google Meets or Google Hangouts with their
right.
Kids. And it's nice to see them, but you can see it in their faces, how much they miss their kids. And it's just really hard. I can't imagine being in your position where you have that next level of worry, the kids and right. The teachers and everybody. So, wow.
It's been amazing. Our staff, they've really stepped up between creating YouTube channels. Our art teacher created a YouTube channel where the students can, watch him doing different drawing and painting techniques, to our teachers doing Zoom classrooms and team meetings. We closed school on a Friday, and I notified the staff at 1:30. Okay, hey, we're not coming back. That's all I know right now. We're not coming back. We came in, and on Monday, we created paper instructional packets because here in West Virginia, there are several students who do not have access to internet. So we had to also have a backup plan to be able to reach those students. So the teachers were here. They created instructional packets. By Wednesday, they started, having an online presence. They have just amazed me.
Yeah, no, I'm just floored listening to all this and what has happened with you guys. And I think hopefully most people feel as motivated about this process as you guys sound like you do. I want to get back a little bit to the AES while we have time, and tell me, so you have really gone through this whole process of AES with us and EntreEd, and clearly you're an innovator. You've been in different school systems in different states. Where do you think we should be going with the whole entrepreneurship education? What do you see? You guys are already creating so many things, it sounds like, at the classroom and school-wide level. Where do you, just as a vision, where do you think we should be going with all this?
I think it's important to get entrepreneurship incorporated into the standards in each state. Like I said, not adding it to math or science, but when we look at the social, emotional development of students and those career clusters and all the things that should already be required in each state as far as the counseling program, I found in West Virginia that was the perfect place to put them. And really just getting out there and educating schools and educating legislators and stakeholders on the importance of entrepreneurship. As I'm sure you're aware, there's been lots and lots of research that the trades and the trade programs and the trade jobs, those are jobs that we're needing more and more people in. By teaching our stakeholders that, through entrepreneurship, we can fill these gaps in various occupations just to show the importance of incorporating that. So that's where I think it's important to start.
I agree. Thank you.
Love that. It's interesting too, because a lot of kids that are in trades, first, they're going to make way more money than I do coming out of school.
Right.
They sometimes don't understand that. And then they get that job offer, but they don't often think of themselves as entrepreneurial. And they also generally don't think of themselves sometimes, and this is really unfortunate, as leaders. And it takes a really good team of educators to kind of break that. I was an administrator in career tech in Mineral County, West Virginia. And it was hard for me to see these talented kids who didn't have that self-efficacy and didn't understand how much power they had over their own future. And that's kind of where the entrepreneurship and those mindsets come in, and there's also that whole career tech stigma that's hard for kids to break through and say, oh, no, wait, I actually am in a really good position, probably better than a lot of other people.
Right.
For me, I think what I love, I'm sure you get this over and over again, your classroom, Melanie, is that those aha moments, and what Toi's speaking to, where kids realize, wow, my parents an entrepreneur, my dad's a plumber, or my dad, or my mom does this. And it's, to me, we go out and do STEAM days in schools, and that's the most fun, to see those, the wheels start to turn and they start to put things together.
Absolutely. And I think, like Toi said, I think one of the most important things is the mindset. And I see that at the middle and high school level really already changing. When I was in high school, the big thing was you have to go to college. If you don't go to college and you don't have a degree, you're not going to make any money. And, but that mindset is really changing, especially here in West Virginia, where there may not be a lot of opportunities right now, but we can make those opportunities through entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I love that kids are starting to think like that, because, college now is not the end all be all answer.
Right.
and a lot of these young people have so much to offer. All young people have so much to offer, but right. And you touched on the social emotional development. And I love how you incorporated a lot of the entrepreneurship concepts and things into that piece, because that's really where it is. It's the mindsets, and it's not necessarily every kid needs to start a business, but if every kid starts to develop those mindsets like perseverance and self-efficacy and determination and leadership, that's going to help them no matter what they do. And that's just a really amazing benefit of bringing entrepreneurship into schools. And our model is every kid gets something, and that little exposure can be that one win that they get. And that's just, I think that's what you're seeing in your school. And I gotta get back out there. I need to
come visit.
See this lab. This is so cool. I can't wait to see that. I mean, it's because you've got STEM and entrepreneurship and everything else involved in that. It's amazing. You've kind of touched on this already a little bit, but Melanie, do you have a piece of advice that you might give if I'm a new principal? I love this idea of entrepreneurship and bringing it to my school. Do you have any advice for somebody that's just getting started, and what would be the first step?
So my recommendation would be to start small. Don't try to do some huge project that's going to overwhelm you and overwhelm your staff the first year. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be the Shark Tank the first year. It doesn't have to be the entrepreneurial lab. It can be, one classroom, one business. And just thinking of the idea and creating your business plan and getting, students thinking about it. That's entrepreneurship. And then you can build on it each year. So, getting to this point where we are now took 5 years in the making. We didn't just jump in to a huge project. And I think that's important for our staff as well. When you start small and you get a couple staff members that are participating and they buy in, and then the other staff members see, wow, this is really cool, and I could do this in my class. And it just keeps building and building and building.
It's a grassroots effort, that's for sure. I agree that, we talk about that all the time in our training. It just takes one or two excited teachers or administrators or staff to bring it back. That excitement grows, I think. So as we're getting near the time of closing up the podcast, I always like to make sure that you tell people how to reach out to you. You're certainly an amazing resource for teachers. And I hope people do, ask you, where do I start? How do I do this? And principals, I hope they ask you, how do I motivate my staff? So how do we find you?
I'm on Facebook, but I think the fastest and easiest way, especially in all of these times, is probably through email. So people can reach me at melanie.arthur@k12.wv.us.
Awesome. Oh, it was so great to see you again, Melanie. Sort of see virtually.
Right.
And we really appreciate this conversation. I did not tell Gene we were interviewing you, but I'm going to when we get off of here. He's going to be really excited.
Yes, and I would love for the whole team to come down and see what we're doing next year. Like I said, we're just in the process of getting our lab set up. So, give us a little bit to get things rolling again at the beginning. But I would love for you guys to come down and see what we're doing.
We'd love to. And, as Toi and I like to say, this is part one, because I think part two is we'd love to have you back and talk about that lab.
We could do a podcast live from the lab.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yes, that'd be so fun. Good idea.
And actually, we have a broadcasting class, so our students could set up and do the live broadcast.
That is awesome.
I love it.
Oh, well, I just appreciate you so much as an educator and for everything that you're doing. And I wish I could enroll my kids there. I'm not going to say more about that. But thank you, Melanie, so much. And you have a wonderful rest of your week, or what's left of it. And just stay safe and take care.
All right. Thank you, guys. It was nice meeting you, Laura.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.